Hey, I'm Nick, and it's really great to be with you for our first class of our Post-Natal Pilates series. Okay, so this whole series is designed to get you feeling stronger, get you feeling more connected with yourself, get some balance back in your body so that when you really start to build strength, you're doing it from such a solid place. Now, the first place I want us to start today is looking at the breath, okay? Because the breath, A, makes you feel really nice and relaxed when you do some breath work, but B, it is a huge part of the pelvic floor. Now, the pelvic floor isn't really a floor at all. It's actually more at the back of you. There are, 20 to 30 kind of muscles, ligaments, everything else in there. There's so much in there. And only one of those muscles is responsible for that feeling of that you get told all the time, which is feel like you're holding your wee in, okay? That's not working your pelvic floor. Please, stop that. And also, if you kind of hold that in all the time, then that's not functional. So what we need in a pelvic floor is we need it to work in conjunction with the breath, because they do work in conjunction together. And what I found in my own experience and with ladies that I work with all the time is that that's the first thing that can happen, is the relationship between the diaphragm, which works the lungs, and the pelvic floor gets out of sync. And that is the first thing. That's the best pelvic floor exercise you can ever do, guys, is to practice this at home. You can practice it when you're feeding, you can practice it by the TV, it doesn't need to be an exercise. So we're gonna do that to start with, okay? And then we're gonna really look at how we use the breath and then also movement just to get systems working together as they were designed to do. Because our bodies are really complex in a really good way. I mean, they are so clever. And I'm not sure quite where along the line we thought as human beings we could kind of override the system, like engage this and pull up this. I mean, if I walk from here to you over there, I don't kind of cue all the muscles in my legs to move me. They understand how to do it. And the body does just understand how to do it. It just sometimes gets a bit confused, or the alignment gets out in your bones, and therefore the muscles kind of can't work as they were supposed to do. So really what we want in this series is just to find that balance, find that homeostasis, find that really sort of feeling good. And if we can along the way feel a bit more energized, a bit more connected with ourselves, we just, as mums, we give so much of ourselves to our children, that for me, my Pilates practice is like my little bit of sacred space. So I want you guys to start lying down for me, okay? So lay yourself down. I thought I've got one. I've put it over there actually. But if you've got like a towel or something, you can fold it up and put it under your head. Just make yourself really, really comfortable, okay? And I just want you to lie down. If you want to have your legs out long, you can. If you want to bend your knees, you can. I don't mind too much, okay? And if it feels comfortable, I want you to just close your eyes, okay? And with a bit of luck, I hope that you've managed to carve out a little sanctuary for yourself. So maybe you could just imagine that you are in a little bubble that's just you. A bubble of you, a bubble where you can feel safe and can feel rested. And I just want you to breathe. In through the nose, out through the mouth. Just notice how it is to be here. Maybe you could think of your bubble like your own beautiful studio, your own sanctuary. What colour would your studio be, your sanctuary? Where would it be situated? Would it be maybe by the sea or next to a woods? Maybe you're surrounded by trees in the woods. Maybe you're on the side of a mountain near a stream. What feels really delicious for you? And as you breathe, I want you to notice that your diaphragm, that's the muscle that sits right below the rib cage, it widens and drops down on the in-breath. And on the out-breath, it floats back up like a dome. Inhale, it widens and drops. Exhale, it floats up in domes. Can you just practice that, feel that, notice that? You don't really need to do anything. Can you just tune into what's already happening in your body? Now, I want you to notice as you inhale and you feel the diaphragm drop down and widen, that what actually happens is the pressure in the area around your organs in your abdomen increases. And then as you exhale, the diaphragm floats up and that pressure releases. Inhale, feel the pressure. It's like everything gets a little bit more squished. Exhale, it's like you can sink a little heavier. And as you inhale and notice the pressure increasing, can you feel that your pelvic floor, which is very similar feeling to the diaphragm, it also drops down and widens? And then as you exhale, the diaphragm floats up, the pressure's released in the abdomen, and so the pelvic floor, it just floats up. And they work in synergy. Inhale, widen and drop, both pelvic floor and diaphragm. Exhale, float up. Inhale, widen and drop. Exhale. Can you notice that synergy? This is the best pelvic floor exercise you can ever do, I promise you. Because it is training your body to work in the way it was designed to do. To engage and release with your breath. There's no pulling in, there's no holding, there's no bracing, because that's just not what we're designed to do. We're designed to have this ease. So if you can kind of tune into that, for me, this is something that, I started within hours of having my babies, and it's a really powerful exercise to do. And even now, sometimes I notice that, it just doesn't feel like it's working together. All right, I'm going to come and lie down and join you. Let's bend our knees now and have our feet flat if you haven't already. And let's stick with this breath. And I want you to notice, maybe you could put your hands on your tummy, just like around the sides here. And as you exhale, can you notice that it's like your hands start to come together, that there's just naturally with the exhale this sense of connection. Inhale, you feel everything drop. Exhale, it's like you just start to feel that the breath creates an abdominal connection. You don't need to pull in the core. Like, this is such a myth and it frustrates me. I've got a whole other series on this. But you don't, okay? Like, our bodies are so clever. They know exactly what to do. We just need to tune into it. So I want you to notice this connection that just happens with the exhale. You're kind of allowing it more than doing anything. Okay, and then from here, just take your arms down by your side, let them be comfortable. And on your inhale, I want you to allow both legs just to open out wide, like the legs become an extension of the breath. And on the exhale, as you feel that connection, feel that that connection brings the legs back in. Inhale, open. Exhale. Inhale, open. Exhale. And just start to feel that the movement can be an extension of your breath. And then pause in the center. Okay, I want you to reach your arms up. Keep the palms shining in towards each other. Feel like the arms are just stacked, keeping themselves up here. So can you have your arms here with the most amount of effort? And I want you to here Just feel like you've got energy all the way to the ends of your fingers and start to reach the arms back. Feel like the shoulder blades are swinging into your armpits, like they're moving your arms to send your arms back overhead. If you're anything like me, your ribs are going to lift when you first do this, so just let that happen. And just hang out here. Take a nice breath in. Keeping your arms here, could you just let the breath make your ribs feel heavy? Breathing in. Breathing out, ribs are heavy. Breathing in, maybe any stretch you're feeling is just released. Breathing out, heavy. Breathing in. On your next exhale, feel how the heaviness of the ribs could bring the arms back up. Inhale here. Exhale, keep the ribs heavy and let the arms go overhead. So the arms might not go all the way. Feel like they're only going to go as far as you can send the arms overhead. Inhale here. Exhale, feel the shoulder blades swinging back. So really feel like the shoulder blades moving is what's moving your arms. Good. Now let's do one at a time. So let's take one over. Maybe the other one could come down by the side like you're doing a little scissors. And then bringing it back. Keep the energy long towards the end of your fingers. Remember that there's a feeling like the arm bones have externally rotated to send the arms overhead, and there's a feeling like they're internally rotating to send them down. It's like a feeling that's inside your arm. See if you can tune into it. You don't really see very much from the outside, but again, it's that sense of allowing it to happen. It's what happens to make your arms move like this. Keep the breath easy. Is your jaw easy? Is your chest heavy? Can you just feel nice and comfortable here? And then bring both arms down by your side. Okay, just bringing your awareness to your pelvis now. And I want you to imagine that I've put a clock on your tummy. And 12 o'clock would be your belly button and 6 o'clock would be your pubic bone. And I've put a little marble in the center. And I just want you to rock your pelvis forwards and back. And just move the marble between these 2 points, okay? I'm going to spend a bit more time on pelvic clock next time, but just kind of notice that you can roll between the two. Now, I want you to do this with the greatest amount of ease. Now, if you're not sure what that is, do it with the most amount of effort, like really brace yourself. And then could you just let go? Could it just be just the bones, almost like you've got no muscles here? Just the bones. And then could you find somewhere in the center where the marble feels like it could quite comfortably stay in the center? And then from there, could you stand down into one foot and allow one foot to float up into a tabletop? And then bringing that leg down. Could you stand down into the other leg? And notice that you don't see anything on the outside, but just the standing down into the leg, it's like you start to feel, something just switches on, not because I'm telling it to, not because I'm bracing, but because it does. And then there's a moment where the other leg just feels like it floats up with absolute ease. And can you just find that space where it's like the knee could be right over the hip, that everything could just drop down, and that if you had your favorite tipple on your tummy, that it wouldn't go anywhere, and then bring that leg down. Find a moment where you're in both feet, then switch and come up. And then just see how it would be just to go down and come up. What you might be noticing is that as the leg comes up, the pelvis wants to rock back. So if that's the case, really think about putting a bit of weight in that 6 o'clock so that the pelvis can stay quiet and the legs can move around it, okay? This is the kind of basis of your real deep core, your pelvic floor. This is its job. Now, pause here. Next time your right leg comes up, could your left arm go overhead? Stay here for a moment. Feel the thigh bone being heavy, the arm feeling long, and then bring everything back down. Stand down and switch. And just notice that this is beginning to work the diagonal slings in your body. These are a system of muscles and tissue that work in a diagonal across the front and a diagonal on each side across the back. So as we work in these diagonals, we are working what are known as the diagonal slings. And you know, when we look at anatomy books, we kind of see all our muscles drawn in and colored in, and they're like one muscle and then another muscle and then another muscle. But the reality is that in the body, they work more like, and if you looked at them in reality, they look more like sheets of muscles, and they work in all these different patterns, lots of things you'll hear us talking about. But one really key one is these diagonal slings. So they go from the back here across in a diagonal at the front, and then they go from the front here across the diagonal at the back. Okay, so they literally go front to back, and they connect basically your left hip to your right shoulder, front and back, okay? And that kind of crisscross effect is what keeps us really balanced and centered. And often when I'm working with someone who maybe has some pain, then you notice that one of these systems isn't just working as it needs to. And I definitely notice for myself and working with a lot of postnatal ladies, this tends to get a bit out of whack. You can imagine the whole pelvis, which is where these are connected to, you know, has weird and wonderful things happen to it in pregnancy. So you're going to see in this series lots of these kind of diagonal patterns to try and weight these systems up. So as you're doing this, what you want to feel is that nothing is really changing in the torso, okay? And this should feel nice and easy, okay? But right now, if you're kind of just getting going on your movement journey, this might feel like quite a bit. Okay, pop the legs back down. Let's go back to what we did at the beginning, but we're just going to do one leg. So let one leg go out to the side and see if you can keep the other leg pretty quiet. So for most of us, the other leg kind of wants to copy. So I want you to just have a little bit of weight in the leg that isn't moving. Now, not so much that you cause stiffness and bracing, okay, and then bringing it back in. Now let's add the breath in. So inhale, one leg goes out to the side. Exhale, it comes back in. Okay, now reach the arms up and see if the opposite arm could go out to the side in the other direction. Inhale, exhale. Really start to feel that this movement is an extension of your breath, okay? Because that's the theme of today, really, is the breath and the pelvic floor and how they're just innately connected. And that really before you do anything else, you've got to get the system working. Good. Inhale. And exhale. Now, bring the arms just kind of out a little bit wider. I quite like palms up, but whatever's comfortable. Bring the knees and ankles together. And I just want you to allow your knees to fall over to one side. And notice as the knees go, then the pelvis go, then the ribs go, and then could your head just look in the opposite direction. Think about the knees staying together so that the top leg feel like it's reaching out, so that you feel the front of that top hip is opening. So I really feel like I'm trying to push my top leg out a little bit so that I can feel a reach, so that both knees stay together. I'm going to breathe into this side that I've exposed that's just open. And then on my exhale, I'm going to send the ribs back down to the mat. I'm going to feel the pelvis come, and then the knees are going to come up. So it can be really easy with this to feel like you just wang the knees up, and then you don't actually get the beauty of these obliques working, which is part of what we need to help us get these abdominals back together. Let's go to the other side. So knees, pelvis, ribs, head turns the other way. Take a few breaths here. Top leg reaching, I'm clunking and clicking, maybe you are too. And then exhale, feel the ribs come back. That brings the pelvis, that brings the knees. Let's just do this a few more times. I love this exercise, it's called side to side. This is one of my absolute favorites, especially post-baby. The body just loves rotation. Coming back to center. Start just moving with your own breath, like what feels good for you. The body loves rotation. But often it can be what kind of gets a little bit out of whack. And that's often when you do some rotation stuff, you start to hear the body audibly kind of clunking and clicking back into place. Now, don't be tempted to go too quickly with this, okay? The kind of deliciousness is in being slow and enjoying. And let the legs feel really heavy. And let the jaw feel heavy and the chest feel heavy. Breathe and feel easy here, and then coming back to center. Other side. Back to center. Just one more time. And then lay yourself out long for a moment. Just kind of take a moment just to check in, just to notice how you're feeling. And then just roll onto your side. Use your hand just to push you up. Just kind of notice, how does it feel? We've kept it really simple today. We just wanted to work on the breath, the pelvic floor, and just some movement that brings this together. So I hope you're feeling a little bit more connected, a little bit more restored, and I'll see you for week 2.